Hey guys, so today I'm going to be setting up a bioactive vivarium for my newest rescued reptile, leopard gecko. I got the hardscape for this terrarium and the inspiration for this terrarium from my local riverbed or stream, and that's not because leopard geckos live in an environment anywhere near this, but it's because I'm going to be building a custom background, and this is the only dirt wall that I know of that I can go to actually see what a dirt wall looks like properly. And right here specifically is what I base this terrarium off of. Basically these rounded rocks stuck into dirt with roots hanging down. And you guys can leave in the comments if you think that I properly achieved that in this terrarium. Okay guys, so I need this piece here to fit into there because I'm going to be turning this tank into a terrarium. So I need this to fit in here, and it very closely fits there. So I think I'm just gonna have to like sand that, and then I need to cut it this way. It has to be 7 3/4 height wise, and then lengthwise it's supposed to be around 17.5. So I know how to cut it normally, but we're gonna see if I can sand it so it will fit lengthwise. These are the tools I'll be using to cut it. The reason that there is a glass missing in this terrarium is because this is a 40-gallon breeder tank, and it was built as a turtle tank, which is when they leave out the top part of the glass on one side. So I have plexiglass here. I'm not sure exactly where it came from. I think it was like in a window somewhere, because it's not like the normal thickness that I would buy. So it's probably just left over for something. I have it, so I'm going to cut it and put it in, silicone it in to that area, and it shouldn't really matter because it'll be covered mostly with expanding foam, so I'm sure it'll end up looking fine. As you saw, all I had to do was score it and then sand it. Okay guys, so I'm going to wipe all this down. The piece isn't as thick as the other glass, but honestly I don't care because you're not going to be focused on the piece of glass. You only see like this much of it on the side, and I'm not too worried about it. So yeah, I just need to wipe it all down. Then I have some tape, and I'm going to tape around it, and then I'm going to silicone with the clear silicone right there. I wiped down the surface of the glass, and then I started putting this painter's tape around here, which I need to be doing more when I'm siliconing things, honestly. This was kind of like the first time I tried it, but I need to do it more often. But real simply, I just put the silicone on. I kind of did it pretty rough, but again, I don't think you'll really notice it. This terrarium turns out pretty cool. So then I take the paint off, and I get off any of the silicone that I didn't want. And now the terrarium is all ready to start being scaped. So I brought in the supplies that I brought home and washed from the riverbed that I was at. From here, the supplies I used for this tank were rocks and sticks that were gathered at a local stream, as I had said. Also, sticks that I got from Arizona, that when I visited Arizona, I brought back some, like the main tree piece. And also, Great Stuff expanding foam, gaps and cracks, sorry. And brown silicone, I think like 2 plus 100% brown silicone or something like that. I could be wrong. Now I didn't exactly film putting in the whole background because I did it really late at night, and I kind of just did it like randomly, but I did film cutting out all the background and everything. And I think this is like the video that I've been in pajamas for the most, so that's kind of strange, but I just woke up and worked on it. I worked on it whenever I could, which wasn't very often. This project's taken me like 2 months, so it's probably, I think I've worked on this longest out of any project yet, and it definitely, I think, showed. in the end. But what ended up happening is I did the expanding foam, and then I carved it out this time, which was like the longest time. Like I got everything carved out. Then I had to add silicone again here, and then I carved it out, and then I had to add a little bit more expanding foam for just like one last hide that I was gonna make removable, but then I didn't end up doing that. That's what I'm adding in right here. And then I started on the silicone, as you can see. Now I sweeped it out at some point, and that was just because to get any like little pieces of gaps and cracks expanding foam that I had carved off. And then I did the other part of the background, and in somewhere in there I did just like touched up the background one last time, and then I did each side in a day. So I did one side here, as you can see, at the beginning of the day, and then at the end of the day I actually flipped it around and did the other side. You really don't have to wait a super long time. And by the way, this is all like super dry dirt. Normally I end up using wet dirt, which isn't good at all. I've like waited for this to dry each time for this, or waited for the dirt to dry and then used it on the tank, which I think was a key factor in putting in the stuff and making sure it actually would stay. At this point, I cut out a custom lid out of chicken wire that fit into the groove of the aquarium or terrarium, because I didn't feel like I wanted to buy a 40-gallon breeder lid, just because that'd be more expensive. And if I bought this, then I'd be able to use it on future terrariums and cages and things like that. And I may have made fun of it a little bit.
Animal cages and livestock containment? Amazing.
This was the day after I finished the right and left sides, and I moved it onto its final placing before adding the stuff, because it would be too heavy if I added it first. Okay guys, so now comes my absolute favorite part of setting up any terrarium for my animals, and that is me geeking out about all the stuff I gathered to put on the inside to decorate it, okay? So, as you can see, my reflection. But behind my reflection is this absolutely gorgeous tank here. Did this background, just finished it last night. And so I won't be adding the leopard gecko in today, because there are like a few areas that I'd like to add super glue rather than silicone. Like right there, you can still see some of the expanding foam just to touch it up. But today I'll be planting all these plants and this plant in there, as well as put in all the substrate and set it up for hides and everything. So the plan here is that I won't be using a heat pad. I'll actually be using a ceramic heat emitter, and what I'll do is I'll bring in the thermostat right here, around here somewhere, and make sure it stays at a basking temperature, or maybe a little bit hotter. Because leopard geckos aren't baskers. Like, I'm not saying they are basking animals like iguanas or bearded dragons or something like that. They're crepuscular. They come out at nighttime, or not nighttime, dusk and dawn, just like crested geckos. Crested geckos also aren't basking animals. But the point of this is because the heat doesn't come from the bottom. That's why it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to use heat pads, but lots of people do, and I have obviously been using a heat pad for it for the last while. But basically the idea is it'll heat up these rocks here, and this is why I have these rocks here, so it'll be able to climb up onto these rocks, and then it will be able to bask or get the belly heat from the rocks. And then as well, the rocks will get hot, and then it'll heat this hide over here, and then it has a cool hide that goes all the way back there. Actually, I'll probably not even really be able to get it out of this. It's much bigger inside down there, actually. So that's its cold hide, and then this is it's warm hide, and it's very big back there. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be kind of covering that up in a way, so not only that I can get up there, but also so it doesn't have to be able to be seen in that really large hide. It needs to have areas where it can hide within there, if that makes sense. They need to feel safe, basically. So I'll be doing that. I will be using my substrate mix, which is the same as what I used on the background. So Eco Earth is one of the components, but as well as other things like charcoal, mulch, sorry, I'm having a mind blank, just normal topsoil and compost as well for the plants and everything. So first I'll be adding a drainage layer, and then I will add in the plants and the substrate and everything like that. But the drainage layer is an important aspect of the tank. Also, I'll be adding some of the substrate from my iguana's cage. Now, obviously, this is not going to be super humid. That's why I have succulents, and it's a leopard gecko tank, not supposed to be super humid, so it won't be super humid. But I'll add isopods because in the little humid hot spots within the soil that there will be, to keep the plants alive and everything like that, and within the bottom and everything, the isopods will be good to be in there and to live in those little hot microbial hot spots or whatever, little things where different bacteria and stuff live to break down the different stuff within the soil, which is mainly leopard gecko poop. So that's the plan. Like I said, this is my very favorite part. I did play around with a couple different pieces of wood and stuff, but I actually had everything in this tank planned out from the beginning. I drew up a picture, and this is basically exactly what it looked like, so I am beyond happy with this. Okay guys, so now I'm going to be adding Beth here, the leopard gecko, into the awesome terrarium here. And right now I have a actual heat light, like lamp, but what I'll be doing is I'll actually be using a ceramic heat emitter there, and then I will keep this basking area here. Now I know they're not basking animals, but it will come out here to get the heat, and during nighttime, obviously the light won't be on just because it's a ceramic heat emitter. So the plan is that right there will always stay warm because of the ceramic heat emitter, and that will warm this big hide right here, and then if she wants to go into a cool hide, there's that over there. So everything should be covered for her. And right now what I'll do is I'll just take this thermostat that I have. Again, there's not a heat pad in this tank just because, I mean, that's how much substrate there is, and I didn't want a cord coming out. But I'll be setting this thermostat so the little thing is right there, and like right there on that pile of rocks and stuff, and then we'll just see what she does. So I'll get the thermostat set up, and then I'll set her in here. I removed the thermostat from the old leopard gecko enclosure, and I had to kind of get creative with how I was going to get the piece up there. As you can see, I used like a reach thing because I can't exactly reach around the back of the tank. Okay guys, so now I will be adding her in. All I have to do, lift this up, and I'm just going to stick her on in here and just see what her reaction is to the tank. After having this lizard for a while, I figured that she would just go straight into a hide and not come out, but she wanted to explore for some reason, so she went around and explored everywhere. And this really gives you a good size comparison for the tank. Like, she's an 8.5-inch lizard, so she definitely fits this tank. I think it's quite a good size for her, and that she will quite enjoy it. Okay, so there's just a few more things that I'd like to change about this tank just after watching the leopard gecko move around for a day. There's just a few obvious things that I guess I wasn't quite thinking about, or I really just didn't know when I was making the tank. So just a few changes that I think will make the tank overall just a little bit better. I didn't want there to be a lot to obstruct the way she moved around, so I tried to flatten out things. I also super glued the thermostat, and I moved around some plants. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it was helpful with you setting up your own leopard gecko bioactive tank. Now, this wasn't an exact guide to doing it because this is my first leopard gecko, so I'm not like 100% know what I'm doing. But I would like to say that if you were looking for more information on bioactive tank for a leopard gecko, then go to the channel Leopard Gecko. She is going to be doing an 80-gallon bioactive tank for her male leopard gecko. And also, I'd like to say a special thanks to her, just because like she's mainly like where I get all my information for leopard geckos. Now, obviously, I do research for tons of different places, other YouTubers, other sources online. But she put so much care into educating other people about leopard geckos and crested geckos and jehua, and she has rodents as well. Just very cool YouTuber. Look her up. So again, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like it down below. If you have any comments or concerns, put them in the comments below. If you think that was a good representation of the natural dirt wall that I visited before I created this tank, then put that in the comments below. And if there's anything that you think I should change about this tank, put that down there. Also, if you know if like ceramic heat emitter, like that's what I'm going to be using for its heat source, but I'm not really positive that that's a great thing for a leopard gecko. So put your opinion on that down in the comments below. We can have a little bit of a discussion down there, hopefully. Have a fantastic day, and I hope to see you in that next video.